Welcome to the Women Inspire Aspire podcast. In this episode, I talk to Madhu Bala Sharma about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a pleasure and honor to have Madhu Bala Sharma, a DEI leader, in our podcast today. Madhu Bala is a strategic leader specializing in designing and implementing comprehensive inclusion programs for gender intelligence, disability inclusion, and advocating for underserved communities. Recognized as a role model by the President of India in 2009, Madhubala is also the face in the Savlon Braille ad, showcasing her commitment to accessibility and inclusion. Recently, she was honored as the Corporate Icon 2023 by Ask Insights and BW People, recognizing her contributions to the empowerment of people with disabilities. Thank you for being in our show, Madhubala. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. I am doing well and hope you're fine too.
I am fine, doing great. Thank you so much. Can you please tell us a bit about your background, where you are from, and what do you do?
Absolutely. My journey started off just like anyone else's does when I was born. And I was born into a family, my parents are from a very humble background, born and raised in Delhi into a Himachali family. So I'm from the hills. And I'm the second child to my parents. We are two sisters and one brother. My elder sister and I happen to be totally blind since birth, and we have a younger brother who can see. That's where life handed my parents an interesting challenge to deal with, and the way they dealt with it actually shaped us in being who we are, where we are, and the way our personality is molded. So um, I grew up as a blind child and I consider myself pretty young, and I'll remain forever young as well. But at that point in time, when my sister and I, we were growing up, there wasn't enough awareness on disability and how to, work with a disability. My sister and I were the first of our kind in our family. Parents did not know how to go about it. No one had ever experienced anything like that. And we, as a society, were still going through the medical model of disability. Um, and also stigma associated with it that, this is a karmic debt that one could be possibly uh, paying off is why we are the way we are, to now evolving model of the social disability being looked at as a social construct, that disability is because of the environmental constraints that are present. So but yeah, that took time. So that brought with it its own challenges. I went to a special school for the blind, a National Association for the Blind, and I was very, very fortunate to get the kind of education system I got as I learned the basic skills of living, mobility, learning Braille. um, I also was sent to a regular school, which is the two schools. First, I went to Faith Academy, and then it's a convent school, and then I went to Delhi Public School, a very, very well-known school, Arkepuram. I studied from these two schools through something called the Integrated System of Education, and where I used to have a long day at school where I would study in the regular school alongside sighted students and then go to NAB for extra classes to complete homework, to get participate in extracurricular activities, to understand complex subjects like math, geometry, uh, science. Looking at models, the tactile models wasn't easy to understand in school in the regular classroom setup. So got that special learning there. Went on to pursue education, graduation, studied English honors, literature through Ladies Shri Ram College, and then have been working ever since in a corporate space with doing various careers. Started off as a voice and accent trainer, training youngsters on their voice skills, helping neutralize their accent for a BPO role, then doing a little bit of software testing as well. I tested a screen reader that we use called JAWS. So I tested that, and then which was for a very short stint. That one happened actually where I had to meet my now husband. So otherwise, I'm more of a hands-on and active training, talkative person. After that, I worked with an organization for close to 17 years doing learning and leadership development. And now working in another corporate, playing the role of where I look at inclusion at various levels with a specific focus on disability inclusion. On the personal front, I shared a little bit about my family side parents. I am married to this wonderful person. His name is Dinesh Kaushal, and he is a software developer, software expert, not just a developer expert himself, and he happens to be blind as well. He lost his sight later in life, but had the condition since birth. And we have a 17-year-old son who is now in grade 12. He has sight, and we both Dinesh and I are raising him to the best of our abilities, just like any parents would. And we truly believe that we may not have sight, but we do have the vision to make a difference and do things the way we can to the best of our abilities. So that's a brief background in a nutshell.
Wow. I don't know what to say. It's truly amazing to listen to your life experiences so far. So, a couple of thoughts. So, you had education in Delhi Public School as well as Lady Shriram College, which are both very prestigious institutions. That's amazing. And you also mentioned that you were a software tester, which is interesting because I'm a software tester myself. So, what aspects of software? I know that you mentioned about having accessibility as an option in software today morning when you spoke to me. It's pretty important, and you also shared that 20% of the nation is blind, if I'm not wrong. It's very important to have the accessibility option in the software. So, what are your thoughts on how we can incorporate this into the software? How can we make it a mainstream kind of stuff so that all of our software that is developed in India and abroad include this accessibility option so that people can access the software without any issues?
Yes, thank you. I just to give a little bit of context for the disability side of things, what is disability really, and what percentage of people have a disability? Not just people who are blind, but disability can be anything, right? It could be a hearing loss, it could be um a locomotor disability, it could be blindness, and even within blindness, it's a huge spectrum. People could be blind, completely blind. People could be low vision. People could be color blind. I read somewhere that 1 in 11 men happen to have color blindness. So, that's there. So statistically, 15% to 20% of the world's population happens to have one or another form of disability. And Venkat, there was this research done by Microsoft and Forrester, and disability usually is not seen in good light. Whenever you ask people, do you have a disability? People would always say, preferably say no, because of the fear of being judged or not getting a job or not getting at par experiences. And I've struggled with that myself. Now, when you flip the questions, which is what Microsoft and Forrester did, they flipped the question and they said, um, do you face any difficulty? And the percentage then grew from 15 to 20% to about 60%. 60% of the population happens to face one or another form of difficulty. Imagine those who use sunglasses, or those who use glasses for looking at the phone, or because as a sight correction tool, they would find it hard if to read if they miss out, if they misplace their reading glasses. Those who find it difficult to hear from a distance prefer to also follow closed captioning. Closed captioning a lot of the times benefits those who have who experience are neurodivergents. Or imagine those who have knee pains prefer to take the ramp. Ramp is not only for those who are wheelchair users. Initially, it would have been decided to make ramps for helping those who use the wheelchair users. Now, who uses the ramps to drag our strollers, our laptop bags, prams, and wheelchairs, not only wheelchairs. So that number then grew up to 60%. And then when you come to think of it, when we look at disability, the landscape of disability, disability can be permanent, and disability can be temporary. Disability can be congenital, and disability can come to us later in life due to an accident or whatever reason. It absolutely comes unannounced. So for the remaining 40, and even aging brings disability with it. So for the remaining 40%, then I feel that it is life insurance. It's life insurance for us if we ensure that our products, our tools, our devices are accessible for all. So, with that business case in mind, now when we start thinking of our products, our devices, the applications we make, if we, instead of thinking that, we need to make it accessible for those poor thing to 15, 20% of the people, instead of thinking like that, if we start thinking, I need to secure my own future, I need make accessible, make it usable. Accessibility means usability, usable under every circumstance, right? By everyone, by anyone and everyone. If I make it usable for my future self, I have safeguarded my future. Then we will be able to imbibe the design principles, the accessibility principles into whatever we think of designing. Um, to give you an example of what accessibility feels like for someone who's blind, I use a screen reader, and I use an Apple phone, an Apple Watch. Nowadays, most phones come with the screen reader option enabled, but in the earlier days, there wasn't that facility. I remember when I was in college, when I bought my first phone, it was this small um, phone, Nokia 2100, which did not have any screen reader facility in it. I could receive calls because I had memorized the button sequence, which button to press when I had to answer the call. And I would message people with guesswork, that, okay, on the keypad, if I type the number six once, it'll be M, six twice will be N, and six thrice will be O. So I had memorized that, but I could not read the messages that I would receive. I could, I had to make my own arrangements and memorize a sequence to get things done. But now with the screen reader, with accessibility settings enabled, I can do everything. I can access the computer. I can I can access Facebook, LinkedIn, do everything that anyone with sight can do, because the phone is accessible to me just like anyone else. Now I am able to operate smart devices independently. Think of me doing laundry on my own without having to take help to select the cycle, the delicate cycle, or the drum clean cycle, or the quick wash cycle. I don't need to now memorize a sequence or take someone's help. If I have the smart washing machine, the app accompanying it accessible, made to work with screen readers, I am able to do this, manage this independently. So the world literally opens up for so many of us if we have accessibility incorporated into the ecosystem, not as a retrospect, but by design. That's how I think about it.
Great. And it We should all be thankful for the apps which is enabled by the smartphones these days,
Oh, yes.
which give the interface to many of the devices that we work with. Thank you for sharing
Absolutely.
that. Shifting gears, can you tell us a bit about your experience when you received the Role Model Award from the President of India?
It was definitely an honor, and I was pretty young then. I was thinking that is this some at some point in time I felt, do I really deserve it? And then I also learned uh, the value of it. Quite honestly, this award meant a lot to me. And why? Because this award gave me that credential to communicate to the world that me being blind, I'm able to do so many things. And so many others can do so many things as well. I was able to open doors for many like me. Not me, actually, this credential helped me prove to the world, to the employers who a lot of the times question and think, is work possible for someone who's blind? How will they write emails? How will they manage Excel files? How will they make presentations? How will they do this? How will they do that? A lot of the times, we as people with disabilities are seen as inspiration and like a token, as a tokenist approach. Okay, let's showcase them wherever there is need to. And when there is work to be done, we are not trusted as much. So this award was a recognition, and even the corporate icon award that I recently got, or the Neelam Khurshid Kanga award that I got, or N- NAB, Delhi Excellence Award that I received, all these awards helped me carve new pathways and declare to the world that life is possible. Give us the opportunity to do well. Give us the opportunity to contribute. And we can be contributing members to the economy. We are contributing taxpayers. We live life just like anyone else. We are able to vacation. If we have the money, right? We go vacation as well. So life is possible, work is possible. Just trust us and give us the tools. Like, we spoke about accessibility. Give us the accessible technology, give us the accessible um, means to perform. Remove barriers for us, and we will walk with you side by side and be equal contributors, and competent contributors to the business. So that is the kind of narrative this award really helped me to build.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. You are also a TED speaker, if I'm not wrong. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I recently have gotten a couple of opportunities to speak on the TEDx stage, and I totally loved it because that gave me a space to interact with various kinds of people from various walks of life. I've been actually contributing as a keynote speaker in some places, also motivating and talking to students in universities and colleges, in schools. And this opportunity came my way in when I was at one of the conferences, and someone heard me and invited me to this um, a Fortune Business School. And for a topic that they were talking about midlife matters, because midlife matters. So this came my way, and I was like, wow, that's an opportunity to structure my thoughts and present on the TEDx stage. And this also reminded me of one moment when I was traveling and catching a flight. I I'm a regular traveler, and I love to travel. So this person who was guiding me to board my flight, we got talking and she learned about my life, and she said she can visualize me being on a TED stage once. Of course, TED is far away, haven't reached there yet, but I was reminded of this when I got an opportunity to be on the TEDx stage. So I shared my challenges uh, of being in midlife, how midlife matters to me, and how I look at uh, life as a file of colorful pages which operates in various phases with ups and downs. When we look around, um, we definitely can pick ourselves up. So, with that thought, I shared how I write my chapter as I go through midlife. And then another one to interact with young students on the theme of how one can really empower oneself, one can be enabled, where I am talking about courage as the key theme. As youngsters, we, a lot of the time, students think about, and get stressed and get overwhelmed about what lies ahead of us, and may hesitate in taking small yet meaningful steps. So I talk to them about the power of courage and how not really big courage, courage with a capital C, not courage with a capital C, but courage with a small c, that matters in our day-to-day life. So TEDx is really a platform to showcase and talk to people in a structured manner, present nuggets of my life, which actually bring a lot of clarity to me and how I'm evolving as a better version of myself.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now I'm curious about your hobbies and interests. What do you do for fun?
I think life is fun, and I love to live life to the fullest. In fact, I have an acronym for my name. When I love making acronyms. So in these TEDx talks that I shared, I've here also I've coined acronyms. Um, so I expanded my name and I call myself mindful, attentive, determined, happy-go-lucky, and unique. That's Madhu. And when I say happy-go-lucky, so for the fun part, I love talking to people. I love mimicry. I love Uh, uh, watching theater. I love playing with my son. In fact, I can share this anecdote with you. My son once said that he wanted a sibling. This was when he was about very young. So I started being like a little baby, and I said, and then I asked him to, take care of me. I became this little sister. I asked him to change the diaper, share his toys with me, change the baby's clothes, and take care of the baby like how he would, take care of his real sibling. And we played so much that this character became so real that this little character sister is now called Evelyn, and Evu is his favorite part of the family. He talks to me less and he talks to Evu more. And this character watches Doraemon with him, various cartoons, and we have a lot of fun together with this life character. This is not the only character. There are many other characters. So I love mimicry, and I love spending time with my family. So that's the biggest fun element for me. In fact, when my son was little, I would play a lot of make believe games with him, and I would mimic various animals and just create stories out of just nothing. Just have soft toys with me and create stories out of them and have fun. That's the whole thing. So I just be myself and let the child in me be alive all the time. So life is not boring at any point in time. That's how I look at it.
Wonderful. It's always great to have the child in us active so that we can be very happy and joyful. Getting into some serious stuff. So, societal issues do you deeply care about, and what do you do about them or plan to do about them?
I I think society is made of all of us, right? We all, when we evolve our mindsets, we definitely can bring about a change. And through conversations like these, we are able to make a change in a meaningful way. So In fact, I want to congratulate you for running a podcast like this, where you're actually bringing forward stories that make a difference. And this definitely goes a long way. In the society, one of the major challenges we face, and especially when I talk about disability inclusion, is the attitudinal barrier. The accessibility barrier can be fixed, jobs can be provided, education system can be taken care of. People from even in the rural areas or urban areas can be brought forward to get at par education. We can have a non-disabled child sitting next to a disabled child. Imagine a school, a class where wheelchair users, a child who's using a wheelchair is sitting in the class, a child who is blind is sitting in the same class, a child who's deaf is sitting in the same class, and the teachers are teaching all children together, providing them the means that they need to learn, right? Sign language for those who are deaf, material in using the screen reader, and large print to those who are blind, low vision, um, maintaining accessibility of infrastructure for those who are wheelchair users, incorporating neurodivergence also into the space, taking care of dyslexic, children, not remarking at children for their learning capabilities or differences. When we're able to create that kind of a classroom, that is all possible when an attitudinal barrier is dismantled, when we are able to look at our differences, beyond our differences, and think that we can coexist. Then this definitely, this world of everyone together is definitely possible. So I mean to say that this is a big barrier that is existing currently, where we are we only think that we find something normal which is like me. So if I find something exactly like me, someone exactly like me, or that fits my norms, is normal. But something that is not like me, I haven't seen in the world, or does not conform to the ways that I believe, I don't accept it and I don't include it. When we are able to dismantle this barrier, we will have a beautiful society, an all inclusive society, where for inclusion, charity will not be the only way. Inclusion will be in everything, every action we choose to take. That's how I think we can go about bridging the major issue that I see in the society.
Okay. I concur with you on that because I always used to say that we put ourselves in small circles. Um, so we try to identify ourselves with, as you said, people who are similar to us, who are the same as, many kind of, not just about abilities, but it is about so many things like uh, caste, creed, and there are so many
Gender.
gender, and
Yeah.
there are so many things that we put ourselves in small circles, and anybody who is not that, we put them outside, which becomes very difficult to be inclusive and relate and um, um, find common point to interact with and work with and things like that. So thank you for sharing that.
This reminds me of one saying that I'd heard somewhere, that, labels are for jars, not people. If we can stop labeling people and just be inclusive, be one holistic society, that'll be so
Oh,
great.
labels are everywhere. Labels are the ways of human mind. So, um, I usually, I recently had an enlightening thought that if I stop judging every moment after moment, I'm saving myself a lot of energy uh, of my mind because I used to judge like this is like that, this is like this, and so much of energy has been draining out of me, and so I reminded myself not to judge, just to observe
Yeah.
what is around, and go from there without judgment. If we try to learn to take the look at life as it is, then that opens up new possibilities to all of us.
Yeah.
So is what
That is
I
so
believe.
beautiful. Yeah, that is so beautiful. And then top it up with compassion, because when we are able to have compassion, we are not thinking that then we do not judge people, and we don't think that this person has a bad intent. Then we are able to assume the positivity in others around us as well, and observe and absorb things as they are. So very beautiful.
Absolutely. And when we observe, it is without judgment of good or bad. The other person might be coming from an angle which is in their perception is the right thing to do. I'm not saying good thing to do. I'm saying the right thing to do for them. And if you're, as you said, being compassionate and able to relate to what they are trying to do, then we'll find some common point, and maybe we could relate to each other better.
Absolutely.
Great. So thank you so much for all the inputs. We are coming to the end of the podcast. Do you have any questions for me?
I would love to know your motivation to interact with so many people and come up with such amazing additions to your podcast. So, yeah, would love to hear.
Yeah, so the answer is in the question itself. So I'm motivated about interacting with people. So I like talking to people, and I figured that instead of talking about my own books and stories, which is boring, people like to share about themselves and talk about themselves and their life experiences, which will be useful for everyone who listens to the podcast. So I think, I guess I don't want the podcast to be like a tutorial or anything. There are so many tutorials around in so many social media platforms. We need life experiences to be shared, and we need a variety of people to come in and talk in the podcast and share their experiences so that we can learn about life. So that's the motivation behind it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you so much for appearing in the podcast and sharing your views. I wish you all the best in your life and whatever you aspire to do. And take care. Please take care and bye for now. That was a great podcast with Madhu Bala Sharma. Please subscribe to this channel and follow it for more awesome podcasts. Opinions expressed by the guests in this podcast are their own. The host or the sponsors of the podcast do not condone the opinions expressed by the guests or the actions arising out of those opinions. Any decisions or actions that the listeners might take as a result of listening to this podcast must be based on their own judgment and will be at their own risk. The podcast host or their sponsors will not be held responsible for the consequences of any actions and or decisions taken as a result of any content in this podcast.